Call this meeting to order. This is the June 14th, 2022 City Council meeting. Tracy, could I have roll call, please?
Burma,
Here.
Harrington, here. Sittig,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Mason.
Here. Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda, and I don't believe there are any changes to that. Can I get a motion for approval, please?
So move.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 then is our consent agenda. It was a doozy. Thanks for putting all that together in there. There was a question in our packet, but I think it's been answered. Does anybody else have something that they want to pull out and discuss separately? All right, could I get a motion for the consent agenda, please?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is our public comment time. This is time reserved for comments from the public on items that are not on the agenda. There is no one in the audience at this moment, so I will open it and I will close the public comment period. Oh, Tracy, there haven't been anything emailed to us, anything that we're not already aware of public comment-wise.
Not for public comment.
All right, thank you. Now it's closed. Item 6 is our engineer report as he dashes across his notes right there. Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll give you some updates on some of our projects. I'll start with Ranshaw Way Phase 5. As you can see, work continues on the outside of the roadway corridors. Those lanes will be closed until they get all the landscaping done. I think, Brent, you had that question last time, and we think it's just safer for the public just to keep them closed until they're done with all the landscaping, which will be this fall. And we're hoping that they can keep the plantings they've already done surviving in this really hot weather. They've got most of the trails done. They've been working on finishing up the trails in the south block. They've almost got both of the connections to the tunnel made, so they're making some pretty decent progress. Centennial Park Loop Road, that one is essentially done. Guys removed the cones. And I think he's actually got speed limit signs up today, and then we're gonna go out there on Thursday, I think, just to double check the punch list, but it's essentially done. Dubuque Street Phase 1, they continue to work in Phase 4 of the project. They just completed all the new water main, and today they should have removed the abandoned water main that kind of bisects the city hall site, so that should be removed. And next they'll be doing the rest of the utilities in Phase 4, which will be the underground storm sewer system. Then after that's done, they'll work on the grading and then get ready for the rock and the paving for that phase. But that'll be several weeks before all of that's completed. Community center roof. The only update I have is that we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next Tuesday. So that's with T&K Roofing, and they will present their schedule at that time. And then lastly is Centennial, the events complex and splash pad conceptual design. That one's moving along pretty quickly. We've already had the kickoff meeting with city staff, and we've been working on a lot of different concepts for both the site plans and the building based on the kind of the anticipated programming and components. I got a sneak preview today. We have another meeting with city staff on Monday, so I got to see some of the concepts for the site. I think we're going to have 3 different concepts that we're talking about, and then several different building options. So that's kind of a fun one. And that's all I have, unless you have a question.
Any questions for Kevin?
Just a quick, when they're looking at the Centennial, are they thinking about putting like Wi-Fi, or just remember to try and maybe put some Wi-Fi in the area?
Oh,
People.
did we talk about Wi-Fi in the park?
I don't think we did specifically, but we've been talking on a broader approach with comp plan specifically about, starting to offer those amenities like Wi-Fi in public parks.
And Coralville has it by the pool and stuff, and it's kind of handy.
Yeah, and we actually have a planned fiber run out to that location, so that will be helpful as well to get the Wi-Fi out there. So it's a good point.
Ryan, have we gotten any feedback from businesses with construction season at all? Have you heard from anyone?
I haven't, Russ or
No, I think we've been communicating pretty well, especially with Dubuque and being in a small area and just kind of moving in
Yes,
sections.
surprisingly.
Yeah.
Russ and I were both at the progress meeting on Monday, and we asked the street superintendent if he's had any complaints, and he really hasn't. I take it back. There is one resident who he's heard from a couple times, but other than that,
Seems to be going pretty well.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. Item 7 is the city administrator report. Ryan.
Okay, thanks. You should have all received an email from Tracy with the social service applications included, all but one actually, and I think there was a note in there that that one will be coming. We actually did receive it. We are seeking some clarification on it, so hopefully in the next couple of days you'll have that application as well. The intent there is to give you ample time to review. There's a lot of information there. We anticipate all those folks being here on the at the next meeting, which would be the 28th, to make their presentations similar to last year. And then you folks will have the tough decisions to make after the presentations. Tracy and I also met with the Johnson County Housing Trust Fund last week to talk a little bit about the affordable housing discussion we had at our previous city council meeting. Working with Ellen McCabe there, she is going to take some of that information back and bring back some options for us to sort through. We hope to have her at a future meeting to help guide our next discussion. And she asks that we give her a few weeks anyway to work on that. So I suspect we'll see or hear from her in July. And then lastly, I just want to make a note in the packet here on the police officers union contract. There's, as you know, there's two of them in here. There's the officers and the sergeants. In the officers contract, there's a typo on holidays. It's still called out Good Friday when in fact it should be Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And so we've already changed that, just so you folks know that that was just a typo, got left in there from the previous one. So that's been corrected and wanted to make you aware of that.
So those will match the city's
Yes.
fully.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Both contracts would.
Yeah.
And that's what I have tonight, Mayor, unless there are any questions.
Any other questions for Ryan? All right. Item 8 is the mayor's report, and I've had a couple of things that kind of overlap with the proclamations that I'll make. One that doesn't, though, is one that I'm going to ask Russ for a little bit of help on. He and I attended an inclusive economic development plan for Johnson County back on Thursday, June 2nd. It was kind of an all-day thing. We had great representation, a lot of great people that were there for it. So, Russ, would you mind if I just flopped it over to you? Not flopped it over to you, but I know that you'd have some good notes from this.
Yeah, it was just very interesting to hear kind of a lot of the barriers, the feedback of barriers that people, run into with economic development. So I thought it was a very interesting presentation. We were kind of put into certain groups, and so I was with my parallel in Coralville, and so we kind of talked about projects that we could, overcome, and ultimately, ironically, I should say, our group kind of came into food trucks, which can be a barrier for folks. So our exercise includes kind of polling the different communities about food trucks because they vary from community to community, and kind of with I think a long-term goal of seeing if we could get regulations that are kind of similar. But yeah, it was very interesting and I think important to note because it's not something we think about every day. And
Right.
just how do we think through helping people that have those barriers.
Right. I think the meeting started with tables of there were about eight tables of all of us that were 6-7 people per table, and they went through a presentation, some of the challenges, some of the goals of that meeting, and then the last hour or so of the meeting, they broke us up into, was it 3 large groups or 4 large groups?
I think it was 4 large groups, then it got consolidated into 3.
So 3. So that yours kind of got into the food truck topic, and mine got onto the topic of mentoring and mentorship for inclusive economic development. So we actually have homework to do, and we'll report back and meet back in a few weeks on what our homework was. And that's, I think, something that every group has an assignment to work on that we can then report back fully to the group, and that's when they'll keep pushing. They'll keep making progress on that. So it won't be the last time that you hear from us on that. Okay, item A is the proclamation of Pride Month, and this is something that we actually did already at the Let Love Fly event on Saturday, June 4th. But I can read it into public record here as well. So I know a few of you were able to attend throughout the day as that event went on. The weather couldn't have been better. Everybody had just such a great time out there. So let me start off with this proclamation and then move on to the next one. Whereas the City of North Liberty seeks to honor the history of the LGBTQ liberation movement and to support the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination, and whereas the City of North Liberty is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ people in our community, and whereas while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for North Liberty's LGBTQ community and is an opportunity to act and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. And whereas the mayor and city council call upon the people of North Liberty to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the city of North Liberty hereby proclaims the month of June 2022 as Pride Month, and in support of the LGBTQ plus community. So it was a nice, great day, and this has been formally signed already a couple of weeks ago. Our next proclamation is for Juneteenth. I'll start with this and a couple of follow-up comments. This is the Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Whereas Juneteenth National Freedom Day celebrates the day of June 19th, 1865, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, when Major General Gordon Granger, led Union soldiers into Galveston, Texas, bringing news that the Civil War had ended and reading the order that declared the remaining 250,000 enslaved people, mostly of African descent, to be legally free from their Texan masters. And whereas in Texas and throughout the South, Juneteenth celebrations began to be held each year on June 19th, consisting of prayer services, inspirational speeches, readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, food, games, and dances. And whereas in 1997, during the 105th U.S. Congress, House Joint Resolution 56 and Senate Joint Resolution 11 were passed, officially recognizing the true anniversary of the emancipation of enslaved African Americans as Juneteenth Independence Day, an important part of our country's history and heritage. And whereas Juneteenth reflects our community's deep belief in liberty and equality for all individuals, as all benefit from a greater understanding and appreciation of the experiences of others, and whereas Juneteenth commemorates the strength and resolve of African Americans throughout our history and is an opportunity to celebrate African American culture, art, history, and achievement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the City of North Liberty, do hereby recognize Sunday, June 19th, 2022, as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in the City of North Liberty, and would encourage community members to visit johnsoncountyiowa.gov/Juneteenth to learn how they can participate in this year's mix of virtual and in-person Juneteenth celebration activities. Signed this day, 14th day of June, 2022. And if you have already been to the website, Johnson County's website, you'll see events that have been going on this week, kind of culminate Friday night with a great downtown Iowa City celebration. So I would encourage all of you to take a chance, partake in that, if you're able to. That's all that I have on that. Move on to item 9, council reports. What have you guys been up to the last 3 weeks? You go first? Oh, you got anything? All right. Sure.
We're working on the evaluation for the emergency management director, and so I'm on the committee to do his evaluation. We'll be doing that, finish that up in a couple of days.
And are you there representing the advisory committee? Is that how?
Yeah, the EMA. So
EMA?
So members of the EMA then evaluate Dave.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Mayor, I was able to attend a short while for the first Rancho House concert series.
Oh, great.
And just to remind everyone, it's going on again this Friday at 7 p.m. Had a nice little turnout for the first one. I didn't get to this last one, but thanks to Nick and his team. I saw Nick out there working the crowd, and it was a nice night to be out there. So appreciate the work. Very nice.
So the report. Eric, Ashley, nothing?
I don't have anything to add.
All right.
I would just remind everyone that Blues and Barbecue is coming up. There are probably still volunteer slots. And there's a fundraiser the night before the Pig and Pint Prelude that's been done a previous few years, not the last 2 years, but because there was no Blues and Barbecue. But and I'm sure there are tickets available if people are interested. So
That's right. That's right. Thanks for that reminder. All right. Let's move on. Item 10 is our police officers union contract. And item A is resolution number 2022-51, a resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement between the City of North Liberty and Public Professionals and Maintenance Employees Local 2003 for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026. Could I have a motion to open discussion on this, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion points, or do you want to start?
I'll just give
Yeah,
you a
let's
quick
hear.
overview. This is
Sounds good.
a long-standing, better than a decade in-place contract with this union. Most of the contract language stayed the same. There was a few minor adjustments. The big changes here, the updates are the wage increases. So for the next 4 years, let me take a step back. We adjusted the salary schedule by 2.5%, just a one-time adjustment. And then in the following 4 years, there'll be increases of 2.5%, 2.75%, 3%, and 3%. The other change that we were pushing for, the chief and others, was to include some sort of retention pay for officers in the earlier years. I think it's 3, 4, and 5, or somewhere in that area. And the intent there is what we've seen recently is after we've had officers certified, they want to get to a bigger city. And our hope is that this will help keep them a little longer. As I think you all know, the certification process is lengthy and expensive. So we're hoping this will help that in a positive way.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Ryan or in general?
Ryan, on that topic, remind me of the payback. So if they, within 1 or 2 years of service, terminate, there's a payback for the cost, correct? Is that in the contract?
That is, no,
Okay.
not in this contract. When you're talking about for the academy.
Correct.
So when an officer is hired, they actually sign a reimbursement agreement for us that outlines the cost of the academy,
Yep.
meals, clothing, etc., that everything that we invest into it, and then that's broken out. It's divided into 4 years. And so
But that's not contractual with the union. That's just
that's
city.
between the city
agreement.
and the officer. Then, in a lot of cases, what happens when they go to a different department, that department will just send us a check for the difference because they get a certified officer. It's a very efficient way to bring in a already trained officer.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, Tracy, can we have roll call, please?
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Sittig,
aye.
Vermel.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 11 is the police sergeants union contract, and this is resolution number 2022-52, a resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement between the City of North Liberty and North Liberty Sergeants Association for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Ryan, you want to give us an update on this one?
Sure. So this is a brand new contract, our first time negotiating with the sergeants. So essentially everything in here is new. However, most of it reflects what's in the handbook, our existing handbook. Their wage schedule is actually based on the police officer's contract. So they get a certain percentage varying from 111% to, depending on how long they've been here, 122% of the highest officer's wage. I think we find this to be fair. We agreed upon it anyway, and The interesting piece here is that they really won't, the officers will be negotiating the percentage increase. Their number is set based on whatever that number comes back at, unless they try to change that down the road, but I suspect we would stand with our current position. So, again, this is the first year, first contract. It's a 3-year contract, so we'll be actually negotiating with them before we will be the officers again as they have a 4-year contract. But our negotiating team recommends approval of this one as well.
Any questions for Ryan or comments about this?
Only question I had, Ryan, is who is labeled as the leader? Who's the sergeant in charge of or president of this new union?
They have. I can't answer that
Okay.
because they had. We actually have 4 people that are covered under this union.
I just didn't know if by state statute they have.
They might be
Leadership
They might
breakdown.
have to be. In our negotiations, we had Sergeant Chris Shine, Sergeant Creighton Reaganweather, and Sergeant Mitch. Thank you, Seymour. I apologize, Mitch. We're all active in that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
Just
I can't believe I did that, so I'm going to owe him an apology. But
sorry.
Any other questions? All right, Tracy, can we have roll call, please?
Mason,
Aye.
Bermal,
Aye.
Siddick,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 12 is board commission appointments, and item A is affirming the mayor's appointments to various boards and commissions. In the packet that you have and is published are my recommendations for those commissions. All of them have agreed and are really happy to either be coming back or to be joining these respective boards. I guess how do we affirm officially? Head nods, consensus. Do they need to vote? Do they need to say just a motion and then all in favor?
Oh, yes, a voice vote would be fine.
Okay. All right. Could I get a
I would move to affirm the mayor's appointments to various boards and commissions.
thank you very much?
Second.
Terrific.
Can I ask one question before we vote, though?
Yes.
I was just noticing tonight, and I apologize for not noticing it before, but the library board, are we missing a member?
The county member,
Got it.
It's a great question.
and there is an appointee in that spot. We are not missing a member. I just didn't include it in our numbers.
There was a lot of people that really put their applications in, really had a lot of interest, so we'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think I say this every year during this time, but I'm always impressed with the level of education, commitment, background, experience that folks bring to these respective boards, and this year was no different. All right, could I have a motion to affirm? I'm sorry, did that already. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carry. Thank you all, and thank you everyone that applied, and welcome aboard or welcome back. Item 13 is our Dubuque Street project, and this is resolution number 2022-53, a resolution approving the temporary construction easement between McBallard LLC and the City of North Liberty. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
I'll move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Grant?
Sure. Just real quick, as part of the Dubuque Street project, we're vacating Front Street north of Cherry Street. I mean, the road's already gone if you've seen it already. And that is going to end up being driveways for the businesses on either side, and the northern portion of it will be attached to the new civic campus eventually. That process was going to happen later this year by ordinance through this. As part of those negotiations and talking with the property owners, rather than just the city dumping, here's half a street for you, here's half a street for you, and enjoy, we encourage them to talk with an attorney to put together a shared driveway easement agreement so they can share that roadway and arrange for maintenance and so on going forward. In that process, talking with the property owners, they had suggested some minor changes for the layout of how those things are arranged. And one of that involved removing, I don't want to say an unsightly parking pad there, but it would be not as useful as the parking we're putting in. And since it's adjacent to city campus, and we could do it for basically next to no cost, and the work was done for us. This seemed to be an opportune moment to do this. And so the staff thinks it serves a valid public purpose and recommends approval. It's free, the easement itself, so.
Thank you, Grant. Free is always good. Any questions for Grant? Comments? All right, Tracy. Oh, sorry, Brian.
So they come up with this on their own and said, hey, this is a good idea, and what do you think? And so
It was collaborative.
yeah, we appreciate people kind of
Yeah, we
think of
met
these
with
things as they come along, so.
Andrew Ballard 2 or 3 times and showed him, and it took him a while to finally get his revisions. They weren't very major, just squared things off. What he'd like to do is create some off-street parking, which would be efficient. Right now, he's got a long, narrow slab that you really can't use for much. So he gave us a sketch, showed it to Russ. There are some issues with it to comply with the off-street parking. Went over that with him. He's going to have to make corrections in order to comply, which he understands. So we thought it's a pretty good solution.
Any other questions? All right, Tracy, can we have a roll call, please?
Harrington,
Aye.
Sittig,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Bermal.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 14 is the Forever Green Road project, and this is resolution number 2022-54, a resolution approving the addendum to agreement number 2021-17-042 for a primary road project between the Iowa Department of Transportation and the City of North Liberty. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Grant, Russ?
We'd had an agreement very much like this, and it asked for these changes to be memorialized in the agreement, and the DOT kind of declined beforehand, saying, we don't put those stuff in our agreement, but don't worry, you've got our word on it. And to their credit, that's true. They have been held to their word, but are now willing to provide an addendum exactly laying out who pays for what lights where, and couldn't be happier. So wholeheartedly recommend approval. This is the deal that we negotiated originally with the DOT.
Perfect. Any questions for Grant? Okay. Tracy, roll call, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Sittig,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Bermal.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 15 is our goal setting report, and resolution number 2022-55 is a resolution accepting the goal setting session summary report prepared by Midwest Municipal Consulting LLC for the City of North Liberty for 2022. Could I get a motion to open discussion for this, please?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. There were some questions that were sent to Ryan. I appreciate sending, and then also Ryan for those responses. Are there any other questions or things that you want to bring up?
Just if you look at it, if people get a chance to look at it, a lot of stuff has got done in North Liberty. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I think people can be really proud of the way things we've been going.
I would just note that while the agenda item said it was prepared by Midwest, I should note that Angela did prepare
Angela,
this did a great job and worked with the department heads to kind of fine tune some of the wording here. So we'll get the one issue corrected that Counselor Smith pointed out, and hopefully have some dialogue on that a little later this summer.
Perfect. Angela, thank you. I know she's watching from home at this moment.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions? All right, Tracy, could I have a roll call, please?
Bermal,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Sittig,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 16 then is our 2022A bond sale, and this is resolution number 2022-56, a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on proposal to enter into a general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $9,400,000. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone have any questions on information we received? Okay. Good?
Yeah, how are we receiving any counsel from them on interest rate hikes and what that looks like here coming?
Well, they've given us some estimates on an amortization schedule. When I look at what I had projected in the models, it's fairly similar. Admittedly, the models are conservatively estimated, so it's going to be higher. I think our last one was 1.25, was it? We know it's going to be higher
Silly.
than that, but this is still bank qualified, meaning we'll get the tax. There'll be some positive tax implications on it for the folks who invest, and we should get some good rates. But as in a lot can change between now and July 26th, from when we're selling the bonds. But we've traditionally had a lot of interest in our bond sales, and so hopefully that'll still be the case.
And just to back that up, we're not going to get 1.25%.
No, I figured that. It's,
I think
for historical purposes, still a very ripe time to be borrowing
for the time
historically.
being. Yep. I think the 10-year T-note, which is government lending, closed at just over 2% here
Okay.
yesterday. All right. Any other questions, comments? Tracy, can we have a roll call on this one, please?
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Siddig,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Bermal.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then item B then is resolution number 2022-57, a resolution approving the engagement letter between the City of North Liberty and Dorsey and Whitney LLP regarding bond counsel services for the general obligation corporate purpose bond sale series 2022A. Could I have a motion to open this discussion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on that memo or the agreement?
I was just noticing that says 9.2 and the previous resolution says 9.4.
Where you at, Eric?
In the engagement letter.
So the first one is not to exceed the amount, and then is the actual amount 9.2?
No, the 9.4 is what we'll have in the public hearing notice. We'll actually determine the amount here as we move along a little bit more, but it should be 9.4. We'll ask them to correct that.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions? All right, Tracy, roll call, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Siddig,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Bermal.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 17. Russ, leading right up to you. I'm just kidding.
Time for
Item
the-
is our mobile food units ordinance. And item A is a public hearing regarding proposed amendment to the Code of Ordinances regarding mobile food units. I'll open the public hearing and subsequently close the public hearing. There's no one in the audience. Item B then is our first consideration of ordinance number 2022-12, an ordinance amending Chapter 124 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by replacing licensing and temporary outdoor eating establishments with licensing and regulations of mobile food units. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anybody want to start anywhere or have anything to add? Russ?
Time for the exciting stuff, right?
It is.
Yeah. So this is we have a temporary outdoor eating establishment ordinance, which no doubt predates food trucks, and we've over time tried to wedge things into this ordinance. And so this is essentially a tear down and a rebuild to address food trucks, hot dog carts, ice cream trucks, and get it into one ordinance. Align it with how the state regulations go. They've got several classes depending on what they are. But we realize there's a lot of barriers in our current ordinance. We only allow a maximum of 10 licenses. We allow for a maximum of 240 consecutive days, which we found one of our food trucks in town. It caught them at an off time. So we'll license everybody for 1 year, beginning at the beginning of the year. Just have one license. I think it goes far, but don't look at this as a super bold thing. I think we have to be careful of our brick and mortar restaurants. We certainly don't want food trucks parking up, next to a restaurant. So what we did is we said, you can have a license in here, and you don't need a license for every event. You can just get one license in the city, and then be located in a non-residential property. I've seen these at schools. It could be a church or something like that, and be allowed. The ordinance also specifically exempts permitted special events. So like our outdoor concert series at the Rancho House, we had a couple of food trucks there. We wouldn't duplicate regulations and make them get approval for that. Or Blues and Barbecue, that was one thing we thought about too. Or if you had a graduation party and you wanted to have a food truck there, you don't need to go back through this process. So we kind of gave careful consideration of that. We wanted to get the structure of the ordinance in place. A lot of communities like Iowa City, they kind of have food truck zones. I think we'll grow into that, and then we can kind of build this ordinance as we go. But I did find interesting one of the food truck vendors that I was able to collaborate at the event had already called us and was inquiring about bringing a food truck up here. So we thought that was pretty cool.
I learned a lot about food trucks that day.
Yeah.
So it was timely that you were already working on this. Do you have any questions for Russ? What we're intending to do here? Yes, sir.
Russ, across the country, are there any regional or shared type of agreements? So where Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty could have some sort of collaborative work? I understand our codes are much different in certain areas, but if they are licensed and approved through Iowa City, would allow more ease to come up here, or shared, our way going their way or something like that.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity, thank you. Very large
Yeah,
term for a fireman.
And we kind of talked about that at our event, and we were like, wouldn't it just be great if like they get a permit through Johnson County if that could cover everyone? And I think V was like, that's a big one to chew, to bite off right now. Let's see if we can. I think it'd be something to aspire to. It seems like every community has their small nuances. I know Coralville has a lot of restaurants, and they discussed that they were really sensitive to those brick and mortar stores. And so I suspect there's going to be enough small nuances, but I would love to get something in place because it's confusing to go from just a couple miles down the road and completely different regulations.
I've got a question. Are we classifying some of the mobile ice cream trucks as food trucks as well?
So they are considered, they are in this ordinance, but they're classified as like a mobile food unit that doesn't really stop at one place. They travel. One thing that I've noticed is they're pretty loud. Yeah.
I'm going to get your attention otherwise.
I've heard him say isn't that the point? The challenge is the standards by which we have to enforce, and usually that's with a decimeter, I believe it is, a noise meter.
Right now, yes. How do you enforce how loud is too loud is a little bit of a challenge under our, unless you're recording it. It's basically a reasonable person standard. Is a reasonable person going to be annoyed?
What about time frame?
Would a reasonable person be annoyed in the middle of the night more so than at 2 p.m, right? That's baked into the noise ordinance that we've had forever. Russ and I have talked about modifying that to use a more objective standard, this many decibels, this many feet away, this time of day. So there are parts of our code that talk about timeframes for construction activity, for example. There are things that are accepted that are allowed. I don't want to get too off, but that component is something that we're looking at addressing through our noise ordinance rather than through the food truck or the mobile food unit ordinance.
Yeah, and when we have operational standards applicable to all mobile food vendors. We do have permitted hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Like I said, we don't go super bold, and some places allow it to stay open to 2 a.m., but that's a limitation as well.
Yeah, recently I had a very loud food truck go through the neighborhood at almost, it was 8:55, and as a mother of young children, 8:55 is not necessarily the greatest time for conjuring service. So, yeah, I just was curious.
That's a good question.
Put into consideration.
Any other questions? Those are great points. All right. Tracy, can we have a roll call, please, on our first consideration?
Harrington,
Aye.
Bermal,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Sittig.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And item 18 is the preserve rezoning, and this is the second consideration of ordinance number 2022-11, an ordinance amending Chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located in North Liberty, Iowa to those set forth in the municipal code for the RS9 single unit residence district. Could I have a motion to open this discussion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do you guys have any questions? Anything to add on to this one? All right. Tracy, roll call, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Sittig,
Aye.
Bermal,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 19 then is anything old business, anything that we should rehash? Seeing none, item 20 is new business. Anything not discussed so far? All right. Item 21 is, can I get a motion for adjournment then, please?
So move.
Been moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you all.